I stand in the red barn, hands trembling around a wooden box carved with my name. 263 letters, 18 years. Every single one stamped in red ink, returned to sender. My voice cracks in the empty space. You tried to find me, all this time. The sound of tires on gravel cuts through the silence, a black Mercedes turning onto the dirt road. You have 48 hours, Miss Carter. I clutch the letters tighter. Letters my grandmother wrote every birthday. Letters I never received. She loved me, the whole time, and I didn't even know she existed. Cut to black 48 hours earlier. Have you ever believed that no one in this world wanted you? I did, for 18 years. I was wrong. The concrete steps of Northwood Group home bite cold through my worn sneakers. March in upstate New York feels like the world's way of saying goodbye without warmth. Ms. Brennan stands in the doorway, a canvas bag dangling from her fingers like something she can't wait to be rid of. Happy birthday, Wren. $87. That's all we could manage. $87, the sum total of 18 years. Through the wire mesh window, my sister Ivy presses her palm against the glass. 11 years old, eyes red from crying she's not allowed to finish. The rules say no prolonged farewells, disruptive to routine, so we just look at each other. I want to put my hand against the glass, match her small fingers with mine, but I'm already on the wrong side of the wall, already gone. The promise forms silently, my lips moving without sound. 6 years, Ivy. I'll come back for you. I swear it. A promise from an 18-year-old with nothing. But it's the only promise I have to give. Inside the canvas bag, 3 pairs of jeans that don't fit right. 5 t-shirts washed thin, a copy of Anne of Green Gables with my mother's name written inside the cover. A photograph of 3 people who used to be a family. Me at 5, Ivy as a baby, and our mother Iris smiling like the world hadn't yet taught her to stop. And the bracelet. Silver delicate, the only thing I have that touched my mother's skin. I turn away from Northwood before I can change my mind, before I can see Ivy's face crumple completely, before my resolve breaks and I'm stuck on these steps forever, neither in nor out, just frozen in the space between having nothing and having less. The bus station is 10 blocks. Each one feels like walking away from the last piece of myself that matters. Inside, fluorescent lights hum over rows of plastic chairs. The smell of industrial cleaner tries to mask something deeper, desperation maybe, or just the residue of too many people passing through without anywhere real to go. I'm reaching for the ticket counter when the payphone rings. Nobody uses payphones. Not in 2025. The sound is so unexpected that I actually turn around, stare at the ancient machine mounted on the wall like a relic from another century. It rings again. My feet move before my brain catches up. I lift the receiver, heavy and cold, against my ear. Miss Carter, Wren, Adelaide Carter. The voice is male, older, careful. Yes. My name is Augustus Holloway. I'm the attorney for your grandmother, Rosalind Adelaide. The bus station tilts. I grip the phone tighter. I don't have a grandmother. You do, Miss Carter. Had. Mrs. Adelaide passed away 2 months ago. She left her estate to you. The words don't make sense. My mother told me before everything fell apart, before the accident that wasn't an accident, before the system swallowed us whole, that my grandmother died before I was born. Ancient history, not real. What kind of estate? A 120-acre farm in Millbrook Springs in the Catskills. The house, barn, equipment, and $28,000 in savings. I have to sit down on the grimy floor. People step around me. Nobody stops. $28,000. I've never seen $100 in one place, let alone that much. But my voice barely works. Why didn't she ever contact me? Silence stretches across the line long enough that I think maybe we've been disconnected. She tried, Miss Carter. For 18 years she tried, but there were obstacles. If you come to Millbrook Springs, you'll understand. You have 7 days to claim the property. After that, it goes to auction. 7 days. A choice. What do I need to do? Come here. Sign the papers. The farm is yours, but Miss Carter... His voice drops, takes on a weight I don't yet understand. There are things your grandmother wanted you to know. Things she couldn't tell anyone while she was alive. Please, come. The line goes dead. I sit on the floor of the bus station counting my money. $87. A ticket to the city costs $12. That leaves $75. Enough for maybe 2 nights in the worst motel I can find if I don't eat. Then shelters, soup kitchens, sleeping on subway grates for warmth. Or a ticket to Millbrook Springs, $63. 24 left. To a town I've never heard of to claim an inheritance from a woman I didn't know existed based on a phone call from a stranger. It could be a scam, could be dangerous, could be nothing. But she tried for 18 years. Someone tried to find me. Someone wanted me. For the first time in my life, someone wanted me. I used the last of my quarters to call the group home's hallway phone. Ivy knows the trick. 3 rings, hang up, call back. She'll be there. Wren. Her voice cracks my heart open. Hey, little bird. Where are you? They said you left. They said I can't talk to you for 30 days. I know. But I had to hear your voice. Ivy, I have to go somewhere. Where? To meet our grandmother. Mom said she was dead. I close my eyes, lean my forehead against the payphone's metal shell. She was. She died 2 months ago. But she left us something. A farm. A real house. And I'm going to fix it up, Ivy. I'm going to make it perfect, and then I'm coming back for you. 6 years, the day you turn 18, I'll be on those steps. You promise. I promise. I'm scared. Me too. But I'm more scared of giving up. I hang up before I start crying. Before my voice breaks completely and I can't get the words out. The ticket agent doesn't look up when I slide my money across the counter. Millbrook Springs. 1 way. I hesitate. Then nod. 1 way. No going back. The bus smells like old upholstery and other people's problems. I take a seat near the back, press my face against the window. The city peels away in layers, skyscrapers, then strip malls, then nothing but trees and hills rolling into distance. I pull out Mr. Holloway's letter. The paper is thick, expensive, his handwriting neat and old-fashioned. 1847 Maple Ridge Road, Millbrook Springs. A note scrawled at the bottom, Margot Castellano, Rosemary's Diner. Friend of Rose, she'll help you. Rose, my grandmother's name was Rose. I say it out loud, testing how it feels. Rose Adelaide. Like a stranger, like fiction. The woman next to me glances over but doesn't speak. We ride in silence for 6 hours, the landscape transforming from urban sprawl to something older, quieter. Mountains rise in the distance, still touched with snow, despite it being March. Pine forests crowd the road, small towns appear and vanish, each one looking more like a postcard from 1975 than anything modern. Millbrook Springs announces itself with a weathered sign. Population 947. Main Street could be a movie set. Brick buildings with awnings, a diner with chrome trim, a hardware store with a hand-painted sign, a post office that looks like it's been standing since the Civil War. No Starbucks, no chain stores, nothing I recognize. It's like stepping into a time capsule. The bus stops in front of a bench. The driver doesn't even announce the location, just opens the door and waits for me to figure it out. I step onto the sidewalk with my canvas bag and $24. Rosemary's Diner sits across the street, its neon sign glowing pink even in afternoon light. Through the window I can see checkered floors, red vinyl booths, a counter with chrome-edged stools. The bell above the door chimes when I enter. Warmth wraps around me immediately, the smell of coffee, fresh bread, something sweet baking in the back. 3 people sit at the counter, all of them turning to look at the stranger. An older couple in one booth. Nobody young. Nobody like me. The woman behind the counter has silver hair pulled into a neat bun. She's wearing a floral apron, a dish towel slung over her shoulder. When she looks up, her eyes, sharp and blue, go wide. The towel slips from her hands. Oh my God. She comes around this counter moving fast for someone who must be nearly 70. Her hands reach out, stop just short of touching me like she's afraid I'll disappear. You're Ren, not a question. How did you look exactly like her, like Rose, exactly. Margot Castellano wraps me in a hug before I can process what's happening. Tight, fierce, like holding on to something precious that's been lost too long. I stand rigid. I'm not used to being touched. She pulls back, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, we've been waiting for you. I've been waiting 18 years. The other customers have gone back to their meals, giving us the illusion of privacy. Margot guides me to a booth in the corner, waves away my attempt to order. You don't pay here. Not now, not ever. Your family. She disappears into the kitchen, returns with a plate of food I didn't ask for. Chicken soup, fresh bread, apple pie still warm from the oven. The kind of meal that says someone cares whether you eat. I haven't had food like this in years, maybe ever. Margot sits across from me, hands folded on the table like she's praying, watching me like I might vanish. Rose was my best friend, 40 years since we were 12. We grew up together, got married around the same time, raised our kids in the same town. She was the best person I ever knew. I swallow a mouthful of soup trying to make sense of this. Why didn't she ever find you? Oh, honey, she tried. God, she tried. After Iris, your mother, died, Rose nearly lost her mind looking for you and your sister. She hired 3 different private investigators. She sued the foster system twice. She spent every penny she had on lawyers. But they wouldn't let her see us. They said she was too old, too sick. Heart condition, they claimed she wasn't stable enough to care for young children. She filed appeal after appeal. Everyone denied. Margot's voice hardens. Voice. Someone in that system didn't want her to find you. Someone was paid to make sure of it. The soup turns to ash in my mouth. By who? She had theories, but no proof, not enough to do anything about it. Margot reaches across the table, takes my hand. She wrote to you, Ren, every year on your birthday, every Christmas, every time she thought about you, which was every single day. She never stopped trying. What happened to the letters? All returned, address unknown. The system moved you around too much, or they blocked her access, I don't know. But she kept them all, every single one. She told me one day Ren will come home, and she'll know I never forgot her. Something breaks loose in my chest. Not quite crying, something deeper. She died thinking she failed you, but she didn't, honey. She left you everything. The farm, the savings, all of it. She made Gus promise to find you the day you turned 18. And here you are. Here I am. I finish the soup in silence. Margot doesn't push. Just refills my water and waits. When I'm done, she stands. Come on, I'll drive you to Rose Hill. Rose Hill. The farm. She named it after herself. A sad smile. After your grandfather died, she poured everything into that place. Said it was going to be your inheritance. Your home. We climb into a pickup truck that looks older than I am. The drive takes us out of town onto a dirt road that winds through forest. 3 miles of gravel and ruts, branches scraping the truck's sides. Then a wooden gate appears, hand-carved letters burned into the wood. Rose Hill Farm. Eston, 1952. Margot pulls through and I see it. A 2-story white farmhouse with a green metal roof. Wide porch with rocking chairs. Windows that catch the afternoon light. Paint peeling in places, shutters that need fixing but solid. Real. Behind it, a massive red barn. 60 feet long, at least, weathered but standing straight. Fields stretching in every direction, wild now with neglect but full of potential. She kept it running by herself until 6 months ago. Then her heart got too bad, but she wouldn't sell, wouldn't let anyone touch it, said it had to stay exactly as it was until you came home. Margot hands me a heavy iron key. She left you a letter inside, on the kitchen table, just for you. I take the key, my hand shakes. Do you want me to come in with you? No, I need to do this alone. Margot nods like she understands. I'll be at the diner. Call if you need anything, and Ren, welcome home. She drives away, leaving me standing in front of a house I've never seen but somehow feels like it's been waiting for me. I walk up the porch steps. They creak under my weight. The key slides into the lock, turns with a heavy click. The door swings open. Inside smells like dried lavender. Old, faded, but still there. Sheets cover the furniture, ghost white shapes in the dimming light. Photographs line the walls, black and white, then color. People I don't know, living lives that happened without me. Then I see her, a portrait above the fireplace. A woman with silver hair and kind eyes holding a basket of flowers. Underneath a small plaque, Rosalind Rose Adelaide, 1945 to 2025. My grandmother. I look like her. Same nose, same chin, same way of standing, like we're ready to bolt or fight depending on what comes next. On the wall beside it, my mother. Younger than I am now, wearing a white lab coat, holding a test tube up to the light. Brilliant and alive. And next to that, a photo of a woman holding a baby. My mother cradling an infant so small she could fit in one hand. That baby is me, 4 months old, before everything fell apart. My mother loved me. The proof is right there in her face, in the way she's looking at the camera like nothing else matters. I turn away before the tears come. The kitchen is small, clean, frozen in time. A note sits on the table, weighted down by a smooth river stone. The envelope is cream-colored, my name written in careful script, for Ren, my beloved granddaughter. I sit down at the table, take a breath, open it. The paper is thick, the ink slightly faded, like it's been sitting here for months. Ren, my darling girl, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't protect your mother. Sorry I couldn't find you in time. Sorry I couldn't be the grandmother you deserved. But I want you to know I never stopped looking. I searched for you every day, wrote to you every year, loved you every moment, even when I couldn't hold you. In the red barn, there's a wooden box with your name carved into it. Open it, Ren, then you'll understand everything. I love you more than words can say. Forever yours, Grandma Rose. I fold the letter carefully, tuck it into my pocket. The red barn waits. I cross the yard as the sun sinks lower, painting everything gold in shadow. The barn door is unlocked, sliding open with a groan of old wood and metal. Inside, the air is cool and still. Dust motes swim in the last shafts of light. Hay bales stacked in corners, tools hanging on walls, a tractor that looks like it hasn't run in years, and in the far back corner a wooden box. Oak hand-carved, about 2 feet long. Letters burned into the lid. Ren Adelaide Carter. I kneel in front of it. My hands hover over the lid. Then I open it. Letters. Hundreds of them. Stacked in neat rows, organized by year. Every single envelope stamped with red ink. Return to sender. Address unknown. I count them. 263 letters. One for every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone my grandmother imagined I might reach. I pick up the first one. Postmarked March 23, 2008, my first birthday. The envelope is yellowed at the edges but still sealed. I break it open carefully, unfold the paper inside. Ren, my precious girl, today you turn 1 year old. I wish I could be there to sing happy birthday, to watch you eat cake and get frosting on your tiny nose. I wish I could hold you and tell you how much you're loved. I hired a third private investigator today. He says the foster system has sealed your records for the child's protection. Protection from what? From me. But I won't give up, sweet girl. I will never give up. One day you'll read these letters and you'll know I loved you every single day, even when I couldn't find you. Happy birthday, my Ren. All my love, Grandma Rose. My hands shake as I set it aside, reach for another, then another. Birthday letters, Christmas letters, letters for the first day of school, for Halloween, for 4th of July. Letters marking time in a life my grandmother could only imagine. I find one from my 10th birthday, Ren. I had a heart attack yesterday. The doctors say my time is limited, but I can't die without finding you. I can't leave this world without holding you just once. Please, God, give me more time. One from my 16th birthday. You're 16 now, almost grown, almost free of the system that stole you from me. Gus Holloway is filing another lawsuit. He promises that when you turn 18, I'll find you. I just need to live that long. And the last one. Dated 2 months ago. My 18th birthday. Ren. Today you turn 18. I won't be there to see it. My heart is giving out, the doctors say. Days, maybe weeks, but Gus will find you. He promised me. You'll come home to Rose Hill, you'll read these letters and know you were never forgotten. Never unloved. Never alone. This farm is yours, my darling. All of it. Make it your home. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to welcome you, but know that I loved you until my very last breath. Forever and always, Grandma Rose. I collapse onto the barn floor, letters scattered around me like fallen leaves. 263 times she tried. 263 times she was turned away. But she never stopped. I thought no one wanted me. Thought I was worth so little that even my own family couldn't be bothered to claim me. I was wrong. My grandmother loved me for 18 years without ever seeing my face, loved me through denial and heartbreak and failing health. Loved me enough to build a home and wait knowing she might die before I ever walked through the door. The sobs come hard, shaking my whole body, not sad crying, something else, relief maybe, or grief for all the years we lost, or just the overwhelming weight of being loved. That fiercely by someone I never got to know. Margot finds me there an hour later, surrounded by letters, face streaked with tears. She doesn't say anything. Just sits down beside me, puts her arm around my shoulders and holds me while I cry. When I can finally breathe again, I wipe my face with the hem of my shirt. My voice comes out rough. Why didn't she ever find me? She tried everything legal, but someone in the system blocked her at every turn. Someone with enough power to seal records, deny appeals, make sure those letters never reached you. Who would do that? Margot's face hardens. Rose had a theory, but she couldn't prove it, not in time. What theory? There's another envelope, at the bottom of the box. Rose said you'd know when you were ready to read it. I reach into the box, push aside the remaining letters. At the very bottom, beneath everything else, is a sealed envelope, thicker than the others, red wax seal stamped with an R. The words on the front make my blood run cold, open only when Ren is home. The truth about Iris. Your mother's death wasn't an accident, Ren. Rose spent 18 years trying to prove it. That envelope contains everything she found. My hands shake as I break the seal. Inside 3 pages of my grandmother's handwriting. Dense, urgent, underlined in places. I read, Ren, my darling, if you're reading this, Gus found you. You're home. And now you need to know the truth. Your mother Iris didn't die in a car accident. She was murdered. Iris was a chemist at Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals. Brilliant, dedicated, honest to a fault. They assigned her to a new cardiac drug called CardioMax. A miracle medication, they said, would save millions of lives. But the clinical trial data was wrong. Iris discovered it during her review. The numbers had been altered. 47 patients died during testing, but the reports submitted to the FDA only showed 3 deaths. Someone had falsified the data to rush the drug to market. Iris refused to sign off. She told her supervisor, Marcus Vandermeer, himself the CEO, that she was going to report the fraud to federal authorities. 3 days later, her car's brakes failed on the mountain pass. She died instantly. You were 6 months old. The police ruled it mechanical failure, case closed. But I knew better. I spent 18 years trying to prove Marcus Vandermeer had her killed. Hired investigators, lawyers, anyone who would listen. But Vandermeer has money power connections that go all the way to the state capitol. Every lead went cold, every witness recanted, every document disappeared, and then Vandermeer's people came for you. Social services took you and Ivy within weeks of Iris's death. They said I was too old, too unstable with grief, too sick to care for young children. But I fought them, Ren. I fought with everything I had. That's when the threats started. Anonymous calls, letters saying if I didn't back off, something would happen to you girls. They'd make sure you disappeared into the system where I'd never find you. So I stopped the public fight, went quiet, let them think they'd won. But I never stopped looking for you. I just had to do it carefully, secretly, and I kept gathering evidence. Marcus Vandermeer wants this farm, Wren. He's wanted it for years. His company dumps toxic waste, and this land sits over a perfect disposal site, remote, unmonitored, cheap. He tried to buy it from me a dozen times. I always refused. Now that I'm gone, he'll come for you. He'll offer money, threats, legal pressure. He'll do whatever it takes to get this land. Don't give it to him. In the basement beneath the barn, there's a safe. The combination is your mother's birthday, July 15th, 1999. Inside, you'll find everything I collected. Medical records, witness statements, audio recordings, Iris's own notes about the falsified data. It's not enough to convict him. Not yet. The statute of limitations has run out on most charges, and he's covered his tracks too well. But it's enough to start. Finish what I couldn't, Wren. Get justice for your mother. Protect this land. Protect yourself. Marcus Vandermeer killed once to hide his crimes. He will kill again. Be careful, my darling girl. I love you more than life itself. Grandma Rose. The letter falls from my hands. My mother was murdered. Not an accident. Not bad luck. Murder. And the man who ordered it is still out there, rich and powerful and untouchable. I'm still sitting there trying to process when I hear it. The sound of tires on gravel. A car pulling up to the farmhouse. Margot stands, peers out through the barn slats. Her face goes pale. Oh no! What? Black Mercedes, expensive plates. My heart stops. Marcus Vandermeer. I scramble to gather the letters, shove them back into the box. Margot helps, moving fast despite her age. Hide these. Don't let him see them. We tuck the box behind hay bales just as footsteps approach. The barn door slides open. A man steps into the fading light. Early 50s silver hair, perfectly styled, wearing a charcoal suit that probably costs more than I've seen in my entire life. Confident. Polished. The kind of man used to getting what he wants. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Miss Carter, I presume. Marcus Vandermeer. I'm so sorry for your loss. I send Vandermeer's recording to Gus before my hands stop shaking. The rage that flooded me during his call has crystallized into something harder, colder. Determination. Marcus Vandermeer extends his hand. I don't take it. His smile tightens at the corners, adjusts. I understand this must be overwhelming. Losing your grandmother, inheriting all this responsibility. I wanted to introduce myself, offer my condolences, and perhaps discuss an opportunity that might ease your burden. Margot steps closer to me, a silent barrier. What kind of opportunity? Rose Hill is a beautiful property, but maintaining 120 acres requires capital, expertise, time. Resources I imagine you don't have. He glances at my canvas bag still sitting by the barn door. Everything I own in one worn sack. His assessment is surgical. I'm prepared to offer $150,000 for the land, cash. You could start fresh anywhere you want. No mortgage, no maintenance, no complications. The number should sound enormous. To someone with $24 in her pocket, it should sound like salvation. But my grandmother's letter burns in my mind. He's wanted this land for years. I'm not selling. Vandermeer's expression doesn't change, but something flickers behind his eyes. Calculation. I admire your attachment to family legacy, truly. But Rose struggled to keep this farm running even when she was healthy. The property taxes alone are $12,000 annually. The barn needs structural repairs. The house hasn't been updated since the 1980s. You're 18, fresh out of the foster system. How exactly do you plan to manage? That's my problem. Miss Carter, I'm trying to help you avoid a financial disaster. This farm will drain whatever resources you have within 6 months. Then the county will auction it off for back taxes and you'll walk away with nothing. I'm offering you a way out. Margot's voice cuts through, sharp as glass. She said no, Marcus. Time for you to leave. He turns to her with the smile people use when dismissing someone beneath their notice. Margot, still running that little diner, I see. How charming. Back to me. Think about my offer. You have 48 hours. After that, my lawyers will begin examining the estate's tax situation. I'd hate for you to lose everything because of pride. The threat hangs in the air, polite and vicious. He produces a business card from his jacket, sets it on a hay bale. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable. Then he's gone, shoes crunching, gravel Mercedes door closing with an expensive thunk. I wait until the engine fades before I can breathe again. That was him, the man who killed my mother. Margot nods, face grim. Rose was right. He came for you fast. What do I do? First, you read everything in that safe. Then we get you a lawyer who isn't on Vandermeer's payroll. Gus Holloway is solid. He helped Rose for years, never charged her a cent. She pulls out her phone. I'll call him now. He needs to know Vandermeer made contact. While she steps outside to make the call, I find the hidden door to the barn's basement. A trapdoor beneath loose boards barely visible unless you know it's there. The stairs descend into darkness. I fumble for a light switch, find a bare bulb that flickers to life. The basement is small concrete walls sweating moisture. Shelves hold old canning jars, rusted tools, decades of accumulated debris. And against the far wall, a floor-safe industrial grade built into the foundation. I kneel in front of it. The combination lock waits. My mother's birthday, July 15th, 1999. July 15th, 99. The dial clicks under my fingers. Right, left, right. The final number falls into place and the lock releases with a heavy clunk. Inside a metal document box. I lift it out, set it on the floor. My hands shake as I open the lid. Papers, dozens of files organized with obsessive care, tabs labeled in my grandmother's handwriting, medical records, witness statements, financial documents, audio evidence. I pull out the first file. Medical records from Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals CardioMax clinical trial. Patient data sheets, vitals, outcomes. Someone, my mother, I realize, seeing her initials on the pages, has marked discrepancies in red pen. Death dates that don't match the official reports. Adverse events that disappeared from final summaries. A systematic pattern of falsification. 47 patients died during the trial. The FDA submission showed only 3. My mother documented every single altered record. The next file contains her personal notes. Pages of calculations, statistical analyses, letters she drafted but never sent. One page stops me cold. If I submit this to the FDA, Vandermeer will know it came from me. Marcus already threatened my funding, said I'm too inexperienced to question their data integrity. But I can't let this drug go to market. People will die. I have to do the right thing even if it costs me my career. Dated 2 weeks before her death. She knew the risk, did it anyway. The audio files are cassette tapes labeled with dates and times. I find a dusty tape player on one of the shelves, pray it still works. The first tape clicks into place, static, then voices, my mother's voice, young, strained, but steady. This is Dr. Iris Carter, March 3rd, 2007. I'm recording this conversation with my supervisor, Marcus Vandermeer, regarding the CardioMax trial data. Then a man's voice, smooth and cold. Dr. Carter, your concerns have been noted. However, the Data Review Committee has determined that the patient deaths were unrelated to the medication. We're proceeding with the FDA submission. The committee didn't see the raw data. I did. The adverse cardiac events correlate directly with dosage increases. You're a junior researcher. You don't have the experience to interpret complex clinical outcomes. I have the experience to recognize fraud when I see it. Silence. Then Vandermeer's voice drops, loses all pretense of professionalism. If you pursue this, Dr. Carter, you will lose your position, your research funding, your professional reputation, and given your recent maternity leave, your ability to provide for your infant daughter. Think very carefully about what you're willing to sacrifice. I'm thinking about the people who will die if this drug reaches the market. Then you've made your choice. Clean out your desk by Friday. The tape ends. 3 days later, my mother's car went off the mountain road. I sit in the basement holding evidence of a conspiracy that killed my mother and nearly destroyed my grandmother. Evidence that's 18 years old beyond most statutes of limitation involving a man powerful enough to make witnesses disappear and investigations evaporate. Margot calls down the stairs. Ren, Gus is here. Augustus Holloway is not what I expected. Late 50s silver beard, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt instead of a suit. He looks more like a farmer than a lawyer, which I suspect is deliberate. His handshake is firm, his eyes kind but sharp. Your grandmother was one of the finest people I ever knew. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet her. We sit at the farmhouse kitchen table. Margot makes coffee. Gus spreads out legal documents, his reading glasses perched on his nose. First things first, the estate is clean. Rose paid off the mortgage 15 years ago. The property is yours free and clear. You've inherited the land, the buildings, all equipment, and $28,000 in savings. No debts, no liens. Vandermeer said the property taxes are $12,000 a year. He's lying. They're $4,200. Still a significant sum, but manageable. You have until November to pay this year's bill. Rose already paid through last December. Gus looks up. He's trying to scare you into selling cheap. Classic intimidation tactic. Can he force me to sell? Not legally. You're the rightful owner. But he can make your life difficult. Zoning complaints, environmental inspections, legal harassment. He has the resources to drag you through court for years, even if he never wins. The question is, what do you want to do? I think of Ivy still trapped at Northwood, 6 more years before I can bring her home. I want to keep the farm, make it into something, a place where kids like me, kids aging out of foster care, have somewhere to go. A real home. Margot's hand covers mine, squeezes. Gus nods slowly. That was Rose's dream too. She talked about it all the time. Said once she found you, she'd help you turn Rose Hill into a sanctuary. Guess she ran out of time. So how do I fight him? You need 3 things. First, money to operate. The $28,000 will cover taxes and basic repairs for a few years if you're careful. Second, community support. If the town backs you, Vandermeer can't just steamroll you politically. Third, evidence. If he's done anything illegal regarding this property, we need proof. I glance at Margot. She gives a slight nod. What if the illegal thing has nothing to do with the property? What if it's something bigger? Gus leans back, studies me. I'm listening. I show him the safe's contents. Every file, every tape, every piece of evidence my grandmother collected over 18 years. He listens to the audio recording twice, reads through the medical files with growing intensity. When he finishes, his face has gone hard. This is massive. If even half of this is legitimate, we're talking federal crimes, fraud, falsification of drug trial data, potential manslaughter. But Ren, you need to understand this evidence is old. The criminal statute of limitations for most of these charges expired years ago. And without your mother alive to testify, corroboration will be nearly impossible. So it's useless. I didn't say that. Civil suits have longer limitation periods. If you could prove Vandermeer's negligence caused death, survivors or estates could file wrongful death claims, and if any of his criminal activity is ongoing, that resets the clock. How do we prove ongoing activity? We need fresh evidence. Current documentation of illegal dumping, environmental violations, anything that ties him to this property now, not 18 years ago. Margot interjects. Rose thought he was using the old quarry on the north edge of the property. She found strange tire tracks back there a few years ago, but couldn't get close enough to investigate. There's a quarry, abandoned granite pit, been closed since the 60s. It's on your land about 2 miles into the woods. Rose suspected Vandermeer was dumping chemical waste there at night, but she couldn't prove it. Gus closes the files carefully. If he's been illegally disposing of toxic materials on this property, that's a current crime. Environmental Protection Agency jurisdiction, federal offense, no statute of limitations. But investigating is dangerous. If Vandermeer is willing to commit murder to protect his secrets, confronting him with evidence puts you in his crosshairs. I'm already there. He showed up an hour after I arrived. Then we need to be smart. No confrontations, no heroics. We document everything, build an airtight case, then take it to federal authorities. FBI or EPA, someone beyond local jurisdiction who can't be bought off. How long will that take? Months, maybe a year. These investigations move slowly. I think of my grandmother fighting for 18 years without justice. Of my mother dead at 27 because she tried to do the right thing. I don't have a year. Vandermeer gave me 48 hours before he escalates, and I have a sister who needs me to succeed, not disappear into another legal quagmire. Gus removes his glasses, rubs his eyes. Then we need leverage, something that makes him back off immediately. Something so damaging he'd rather leave you alone than risk exposure. Like what? Like proof he's currently committing crimes on your property. Photos, samples, documentation. But Ren, if we're wrong, if there's nothing there, or if he catches you investigating, this could go very badly. Margot stands decisive. Then she won't go alone. We go tonight, all of us. Safety in numbers. Margot, you're 68 years old. And I've been tramping through these woods since before you were born, Augustus Holloway. I know every deer trail and logging road. We go tonight, we take photos, we leave, quick and quiet. I look between them. These two people who barely know me, ready to risk themselves for my fight. Why are you doing this? Margot's eyes shine. Because Rose was my sister in everything but blood. She spent 18 years trying to protect you from that monster. I won't let her die thinking she failed. And because, Gus adds quietly, some fights are worth the risk. Your mother knew that. So did Rose. Now it's our turn. We wait until midnight. Gus goes home to collect equipment, high-resolution camera, sample jars, GPS tracker, flashlights. Margot closes the diner early, tells her evening cook she's helping me settle in. Neither of them mentions what we're actually planning. I spend the waiting hours exploring the farmhouse. My mother's bedroom is on the second floor, preserved like a shrine. Posters of cellular biology, shelves of chemistry textbooks, a desk still holding her high school yearbooks. In the closet, boxes of her research notes, academic awards, a framed PhD certificate from Cornell. She was 27 when she died. Brilliant, principled, brave. I'm 18 with a GED and a canvas bag. But I have something she didn't. I know what I'm up against. On her desk I find a journal. The last entry is dated 2 days before her death. Ren turned 6 months old today. She smiled at me, a real smile, not just gas. I recorded it on video. Whatever happens with Vandermeer, I need her to know I loved her, that I tried to do the right thing, that some principles are worth fighting for even when you're scared. If something happens to me, Mom will take care of her. Mom's strong. She'll make sure Ren grows up knowing her mother wasn't a coward. I close the journal, press it against my chest. I'm not a coward either, Mom. I promise. Gus returns at 11:30 with a backpack full of equipment. Margot changes into hiking boots and a dark jacket. We arm ourselves with flashlights and determination. The walk to the quarry takes 40 minutes through dense forest. No trails, just Margot's memory of paths that barely exist anymore. The moon gives enough light to see by, but barely. We walk in silence, trying not to snap branches or stumble. Then the trees open up and I see it. The quarry is a massive pit carved into the earth, maybe 200 feet across and 60 feet deep. Steep granite walls drop away into darkness. In daylight, it's probably beautiful in a stark industrial way. Tonight it looks like a wound, and at the bottom, barrels. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, stacked in haphazard piles. Industrial drums with chemical hazard symbols, some rusted, others new enough to shine in the moonlight. Gus pulls out his camera, starts photographing. The shutter clicks, rapid fire, capturing angles and labels. Margot points to fresh tire tracks in the mud near the edge. Someone was here recently, within the last week. Can you get down there? I ask Gus. Too dangerous in the dark. One wrong step and I'm in a 60-foot free fall. But I don't need to. The photos show illegal dumping clear as day. And look, he zooms in on one barrel, shows me the image on the camera's screen. Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals, company logo right on the side. Sloppy. Arrogant. He owns the county officials who should be monitoring this. Probably thought Rose was too old and sick to check her own land. And after she died, who would notice? I pull out sample jars from the backpack, crouch near a puddle of oily liquid seeping from the base of one barrel. The smell is acrid chemical. I scoop water into 2 jars, seal them tight. That's enough. We leave now. Gus packs the camera and we start the hike back. We're halfway to the farmhouse when I hear it. Engines. Multiple vehicles approaching fast on the access road. Run! Margot hisses. We sprint through the forest branches, whipping our faces. Behind us, headlights sweep through the trees, doors slam, men's voices call out, "Someone's in the woods, check the quarry." We reach the farmhouse just as 3 SUVs pull up the driveway. I shove Gus and Margot through the back door, slam it shut, throw the deadbolt. A fist pounds on the front door. "Miss Carter, Sheriff's Department, open up." I take a breath, try to steady my shaking hands. Gus tucks the camera and samples under the kitchen sink behind cleaning supplies. Margot sits at the table, picks up a newspaper like she's been reading. I open the door. Sheriff Miller stands on my porch, mid-40s, overweight, with a handlebar mustache that might have looked authoritative 20 years ago. Behind him, 4 deputies fan out across the yard. "We received a report of trespassing on this property. Mind if we come in? Do you have a warrant?" His smile is condescending. "Just want to ask a few questions, unless you have something to hide." I have a constitutional right to refuse a warrantless search, so no, Sheriff, you can't come in. His expression hardens. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way, Miss Carter. A concerned citizen reported seeing flashlights in the woods, thought it might be vandals. We're just checking it out." "At midnight on my private property, who exactly called?" "That's confidential. It was Marcus Vandermeer. He's been watching the house." Miller doesn't deny it. "Mr. Vandermeer is a respected businessman concerned about illegal activity in the area. Now, are you going to cooperate, or do I need to get creative with public safety ordinances?" Gus appears behind me. "Sheriff Miller, interesting seeing you out here so late. I assume you have reasonable suspicion of a crime to justify this visit?" Miller's face sours. "Counselor, should have known you'd get involved. Miss Carter is my client. Any further questions, go through me. And I'll need your badge number and the name of your supervisor, since you've just attempted an illegal entry without probable cause." The sheriff's jaw clenches. "Vandermeer said you'd be trouble. Did he? Funny how he seems to know a lot about what's happening on my client's property. Almost like he's been conducting surveillance, which would be harassment." "We're done here." Miller backs off the porch. "But Miss Carter, if I were you, I'd reconsider your stubbornness. This county doesn't take kindly to outsiders causing problems." "Good thing I'm not an outsider. This is my home." They leave, but not before the deputies make a show of shining flashlights around the property, peering into the barn, making it clear this isn't over. When the taillights fade, I collapse into a kitchen chair. He knew. Vandermeer knew we went to the quarry. Either he has the property under surveillance or the sheriff has been watching for him, Gus says. "Either way, we need to move fast. Tomorrow morning, I'm driving these samples to the EPA regional office in Albany. The photos and audio recordings go to the FBI field office. We need federal intervention before Vandermeer can destroy evidence." "What if they don't listen?" "They will. This is too big to ignore." He downloads the photos onto a laptop, starts organizing files. "But you need to understand, once we trigger a federal investigation, Vandermeer will know, and he'll retaliate." "Let him try." Margot places a hand on my shoulder. "You should stay with me for a few days, at the diner where there are witnesses, until this dies down. I'm not leaving Rose Hill. This is my home. I won't let him scare me away. Ren, your mother's death looked like an accident. So could yours. Then I'll be careful. But I'm staying." Gus and Margot exchange glances, some silent communication passing between them. "All right, but you don't stay alone. I'll call Beckett Ward. His family owns the farm next door. Good kid, 24, works as a carpenter. He's been helping maintain Rose Hill since Rose got sick. He can bunk in the barn, keep an eye on things." I don't need a bodyguard. You need a witness. Someone who can testify if Vandermeer or his people try anything. And someone who knows how to handle himself if things get rough. I'm too tired to argue. Fine, but he stays in the barn. Beckett Ward arrives before dawn, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing work boots and a flannel jacket spotted with sawdust. His handshake is calloused, his voice quiet. "Ma'am, Gus called, said you could use some help around the property." "You don't have to call me ma'am, I'm 18. A slight smile. "Yes, ma'am." I give up. He carries a duffel bag to the barn, sets up a cot in the tack room without fuss or questions. Then he starts working on the property like it's the most natural thing in the world. Fixes the porch railing, oils the barn door hinges, replaces broken window panes. By mid-morning, Gus calls from Albany. "The EPA is taking the samples. They're opening an investigation into illegal dumping. I showed them the photos, explained the situation. They're sending inspectors to the quarry this afternoon and they want to interview you." "What about the FBI?" "That's more complicated. The evidence against Vandermeer for your mother's death is circumstantial. Without new proof or a witness willing to testify, they're treating it as a cold case. But the audio recording caught their attention. They're reviewing it. So we wait. We wait. In the meantime, stay visible, stay safe. Don't go anywhere alone." The EPA inspectors arrive at 2 p.m. 2 agents in hazmat suits accompanied by a federal marshal. They spend 4 hours at the quarry taking samples, photographing, documenting. I watch from a distance with Beckett, who doesn't ask questions, but positions himself between me and the tree line like he's expecting someone to emerge shooting. The lead inspector comes to the house when they're done. Her face is grim. "Miss Carter, that quarry is an environmental disaster. We've identified at least 40 different chemical compounds, including several carcinogens. The groundwater contamination alone will take years to remediate. We're issuing an emergency order to seal the site and identify the responsible party. It's Marcus Vandermeer. His company logo is on the barrels. We saw. We'll be issuing subpoenas for Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals waste disposal records. This is a federal crime. Thank you for reporting it." After they leave, I feel the first spark of hope. Maybe this will work. Maybe justice isn't dead. Then Vandermeer calls. My phone, the cheap prepaid one I bought with my last $24, rings with an unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. "Miss Carter, I see you've been busy." Ice floods my veins. "How did you get this number?" "I'm a resourceful man. I'm calling to make one final offer, $200,000 for the property. You sign the deed over tonight, I drop all legal action, and you walk away. Refuse and things become very unpleasant for you. The EPA is already investigating. You can't hide anymore." His laugh is cold. "You think federal bureaucrats scare me? I have lawyers who will tie that investigation in knots for a decade. But you, Wren, are very vulnerable. A young girl all alone, no family, no resources. Accidents happen to people like you. Just ask your mother." The threat is explicit, clear. My hand tightens on the phone. "You killed her. You killed my mother because she wouldn't help you commit fraud." I did what was necessary to protect my company and the thousands of jobs it provides. Iris Carter was a brilliant chemist, but a naive idealist. She didn't understand how the world works. I hope you're smarter than she was. I'm smart enough to record this conversation. Silence. Then, "Enjoy your little farm while you can, Miss Carter. You won't keep it long." The line goes dead. I'm shaking, but the tremors come from fury so concentrated it burns everything else away. This man murdered my mother, stole 18 years of my life, and now threatens me with the same fate. Beckett is in the doorway, having heard everything through the screen. His expression is carefully neutral. "You get that recording?" I hold up the phone. "Every word." "Good. Send it to Gus. And Miss Carter, I'll be sleeping in the barn with my shotgun tonight. Anyone comes near this property, they're gonna regret it." For the first time since arriving at Rose Hill, I feel like I'm not fighting alone. Gus plays Vandermeer's recorded threat 3 times, each repetition sharpening the edges of what comes next. "This is a confession. Valid but actionable. Combined with the EPA findings and your grandmother's evidence, we have grounds for criminal referral. So we go to the FBI. We go public first, media exposure. Once this story breaks, Vandermeer can't make you disappear quietly, too many eyes watching. He closes his laptop with deliberate care. I have a contact at the Albany Times-Union. Investigative journalist won't back down from corporate pressure. She's been trying to nail Vandermeer for years. When can she come? Tomorrow morning. But Ren, understand what you're starting. Once this story runs, there's no taking it back. Your life becomes public. Every news outlet will want interviews. It's protective armor, but it's also permanent exposure. Better than being dead. Beckett moves to the window, scans the darkness beyond. He's been doing that every 10 minutes since Vandermeer's call, like expecting an attack. Security cameras, he says without turning. Motion sensors, floodlights. I can have them installed by tomorrow afternoon. I can't afford. Already ordered. Consider it a loan. Pay me back when you win. The certainty in his voice steadies something inside me. When, not if. Sleep doesn't come that night. Every settling creak, every wind-stirred branch sounds like approach. I sit at my mother's desk, reading through her journal again, trying to understand who she was beyond photograph and tragedy. One entry stops me. Sometimes I wonder if having Ren was selfish. Bringing a child into a world where monsters like Vandermeer have power. But then she smiles at me and I think maybe she's the one who'll change things. Maybe her generation will be braver than mine. I'm not brave. Terror sits in my throat like gravel, but rage burns hotter than fear, and that's enough. By dawn, Beckett has cleared sight lines around the property, trimmed branches that could provide cover. He works with the efficiency of someone who's done this before. Military to Marines, 2 tours, came home, decided I'd had enough of fighting other people's wars, figured I'd build things instead of breaking them. He wipes sweat from his forehead with a bandana. Your grandmother hired me 3 years back to repair the barn roof. Kept finding projects for me after. Think she knew she was running out of time, wanted everything solid for when you came home. The weight of her faith in a granddaughter she never met is almost unbearable. Did she talk about me? Constantly. Showed me your school photos when the investigators managed to get them. 6th grade, I think, green sweater. He hammers another fence post into place. She was proud of you, used to say my Ren is a survivor. She'll be stronger than all of us. I turn away before he can see me cry. The journalist arrives at 10 a.m. Rebecca Whitmore, mid-40s, driving a sedan held together by determination. She carries a recorder and notebook, her handshake firm and assessing. Gus sent me your grandmother's files. I've been investigating Vandermeer since 2019 when a whistleblower contacted me about fabricated safety reports. The source recanted 2 weeks later after receiving a settlement and signing an NDA. This is the first hard evidence I've seen. We sit on the porch. I tell her everything. The 263 letters. My mother's murder disguised as accident. The quarry full of toxic waste. Vandermeer's threat. She takes notes without interrupting, occasionally asking for clarification. When I finish, she leans back, studying me. You understand? This makes you a target. I'm already a target. Not like this. Right now, Vandermeer can pretend you're a nuisance, maybe buy you off quietly. Once this story runs, you become a symbol. He'll come at you with everything: legal teams, character assassination, harassment. They'll dig into your past, twist every mistake. I've been in foster care since I was 6 months old. My past is public record. Nothing they find will be worse than what I've already survived. Rebecca's expression softens. You're 18, 19 next week. You sound older. Trauma ages you fast. She writes that down, then sets her pen aside. I need to verify the evidence independently. Can you give me access to the quarry? BCPA sealed it yesterday, but I have photos, chemical analysis reports, chain of custody documentation. Good. I'll need interviews with witnesses. Margot Castellano, Augustus Holloway, anyone else who can corroborate your grandmother's investigation. How long before the story runs? 3 days if everything checks out. Front page above the fold. I'll syndicate it nationally. New York Times, Washington Post, anyone who'll pick it up. After she leaves, the waiting begins. Gus files emergency motions to prevent Vandermeer from accessing the property. Beckett finishes installing cameras and motion sensors. Margot organizes a town meeting at the diner to explain what's happening. 47 people show up. Farmers, shopkeepers, teachers, retirees. Some I recognize from Margot's diner. Most are strangers. A man in his 60s stands, introduces himself as Harold Jensen, owner of the hardware store. Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals approached me 6 years back about selling my building. Wanted to raise it, put up a distribution center. Offered 3 times market value. When I refused, the town suddenly needed to widen Main Street. Guess whose property was in the way? Took me 2 years and $40,000 in legal fees to fight it. Others share similar stories. Rezoning disputes, mysterious environmental citations, tax audits targeting anyone who opposed Vandermeer's development plans. A woman stands, voice shaking. My husband worked at the pharmaceutical plant for 20 years. Developed leukemia from chemical exposure. Vandermeer's lawyers buried us in paperwork until he died. Claimed it was pre-existing. He was 43. The room falls silent. How many, I ask, how many people has he hurt? Hands rise across the room, more than half. Margot addresses the crowd. Wren is Rose's granddaughter. She's taking Vandermeer to court, bringing everything into the light, but she can't do it alone. She needs us. What can we do? Harold asks. Gus stands, legal mind already working, document everything. Anyone with evidence of Vandermeer's wrongdoing, contracts, correspondence, medical records, bring it to my office. We're building a pattern of predatory behavior. The more proof we have, the harder it is to dismiss. Before the meeting ends, they pass around a collection jar. By the time it reaches me, there's $3,400 inside. Cash from people who can't afford to give it. For legal fees, Margot explains, so you can fight without worrying about money. Words fail. I can only nod through tears. That night, someone tries to burn down the barn. Beckett's motion sensors trigger at 2:47 a.m. Floodlights snap on, illuminating 2 figures near the barn door. One holds a gas can, the other a lighter. I'm already calling 911 when Beckett charges out, shotgun raised. Drop it now! They run. Beckett fires a warning shot skyward, the blast echoing across the valley. The men disappear into woods. By the time Sheriff Miller arrives 40 minutes later, suspiciously slow, the would-be arsonists are gone. Miller surveys the scene with barely concealed irritation. You fire that weapon, Ward. Warning shot. 2 men attempting arson on my client's property. Your job is finding them. In the dark, with no description except 2 men in black, I'll file a report. You'll do more than that. Pull highway camera footage. Check for vehicles leaving between 2:45 and 3:30. Interview residents along the access road. Don't tell me how to do my job, counselor. Then start doing it, because next time I won't fire a warning shot. After Miller leaves, doing the absolute minimum, Beckett and I examine the barn. The gas can they dropped is commercial grade, available anywhere. Untraceable. They'll try again, Beckett says. This was reconnaissance testing our response. Next time they'll be better prepared. Maybe we should call the FBI. Already did. Agents coming tomorrow to take statements about the threat and arson attempt. But Wren federal investigations move slow. We need to survive until they move. Survive. The word follows me back to the house, into sleepless bed, through hours until dawn. FBI Special Agent Patricia Manning arrives at noon. Younger than expected, maybe 35, with the kind of sharp attention that misses nothing. She listens to Vandermeer's recorded threat twice. Takes copies of every piece of evidence. Gus compiled, photographs the burn marks on the barn door. This is enough to open an investigation into corporate intimidation and environmental crimes. The arson is attempted destruction of evidence, since the barn sits on the same property as the illegal dumping site. Federal jurisdiction. How long? Depends on cooperation from local authorities, which sounds unlikely. We'll subpoena phone records, financial transactions, security footage. Conservatively, 6 months to build a case. My heart sinks. I might not have 6 months. Then you need somewhere safe until this resolves. I'm not leaving my home. Agent Manning glances at Beckett, some unspoken assessment passing between them. Former military recognizing former military. You served? Yes, ma'am. 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. Good. Keep her alive until we can arrest Vandermeer. I'll expedite what I can, but the system has procedures. After she leaves, walls feel like they're closing in. FBI will take months. Media story might provoke Vandermeer into worse, and I'm just one person with borrowed courage and a shotgun. Then Rebecca calls. Story's ready. Running tomorrow morning, front page. I confirmed EPA findings, interviewed 3 former Vandermeer employees willing to go on record about falsified data, traced 17 other illegal dumping sites across 4 counties. This is bigger than your case, Wren. Systemic environmental crime. Will it be enough? It'll be a bomb. Vandermeer's stock will tank. FDA will reopen investigations into every drug they've approved. Criminal charges are inevitable. And me. You become very famous very fast. Every news outlet will want interviews. My advice, do them. Stay visible. Make yourself too public to disappear. The story breaks at 6 a.m. the next morning, exactly 1 week after I first arrived at Rose Hill. By 7, my phone rings non-stop. CNN, NBC, local stations, podcasters, everyone wanting the girl who took on Big Pharma. Gus fields most calls, scheduling interviews for later. But one call he puts through. Wren Catherine Morrison from the Children's Defense Fund. I saw the story. I want to help you get custody of your sister. Everything stops. What? You're 18, employed or will be once you sell story rights, which networks will pay substantial money for, and you own property. With the right legal team, we can petition for guardianship of Ivy Carter. The fact that you're exposing corporate crime while fighting for family reunification, judges respond to that narrative. Hope is dangerous. It makes you vulnerable. How long would it take? 4 to 6 months if we move fast. Financial documentation, character references, home study. But Wren, it's possible. Your sister could be home by Christmas. By Christmas. I'm still processing when Margot arrives with food and news. Every diner in 50 miles is running specials today. Rose's Legacy Pancakes and Justice Breakfast proceeds going to your legal fund. Harold's giving 10% of hardware sales. The florist named a rose variety after your grandmother. Wren, the whole county's rallying. The community I thought I'd never have surrounds me, holds me up. Then the counterattack begins. At 10 a.m., Vandermeer's lawyers file defamation suit. $50 million in damages, claiming I knowingly made false accusations. At 11 a.m., county building inspector arrives with order to condemn the farmhouse for structural deficiencies requiring immediate evacuation. At noon, Sheriff Miller serves restraining order preventing me from entering the quarry, my own property. Gus battles back, filing emergency appeals demanding evidence, threatening sanctions. But the message is clear: Vandermeer is using every tool to destroy me. By evening, I'm exhausted from interviews, legal calls, and the weight of becoming symbol instead of person. Beckett finds me on the porch steps, staring at nothing. Holding up. I don't know. Everyone's depending on me to be strong to win, but I'm just a kid who got lucky with an inheritance. I don't know what I'm doing. He sits beside me, quiet for a moment. Courage isn't absence of fear. It's doing right things even terrified. Your mother had it. Your grandmother had it. You've got it too, whether you believe it or not. What if I lose? Then you lose fighting, which is more than most people ever do. But I don't think you're losing. Why? Because you've got something Vandermeer doesn't. People who love you. Not because you're useful, but because you're worth loving. That's stronger than any amount of money or power. The words settle into hollow places inside me, filling them with something almost like peace. Next morning brings unexpected visitor. A limousine pulls up at 8 a.m. A woman emerges mid-60s, impeccably dressed, carrying authority of someone used to being obeyed. Miss Carter, Dr. Victoria Ashford, I was your mother's thesis advisor at Cornell. I invite her in, bewildered. Margot materializes from kitchen. She's been staying over, refusing to leave me alone, makes coffee. Dr. Ashford sits at kitchen table, hands folded. I saw the news. I've waited 18 years to tell someone what really happened to Iris. My heart stops. I was her mentor when she started at Vandermeer. Brilliant student, passionate about using chemistry to help people. When she came to me with concerns about CardioMax data, I advised her to document everything, go through proper channels. I thought the system would protect her. It didn't. No. 3 days before she died, she came to my office, terrified. Said Vandermeer threatened her directly, told her if she went to FDA, she'd lose custody of you and your sister. He'd make sure you ended up in foster care where she could never find you. The threat came true anyway. She recorded their conversation. On cassette tape, I have it. She gave me a copy for safekeeping, told me if anything happened, I should give it to authorities. But when she died, I was young, scared. Vandermeer's lawyers contacted me personally, told me if I came forward, my career was over, so I stayed silent. Shame fills her expression. For 18 years, I lived with that cowardice. Told myself it wouldn't matter that Iris was gone and justice wouldn't bring her back. But seeing you fight the way she would have fought, I can't stay silent anymore. She reaches into bag, produces cassette tape labeled I. Carter, VM meeting March 1st, 2007. This is a copy, originals in my safety deposit box. On this recording, Marcus Vandermeer explicitly threatens your mother with losing custody if she reports data fraud. He admits deaths, admits cover-up, everything. Gus appears in doorway, having let himself in back. His eyes go wide, seeing the tape. Dr. Ashford, are you willing to testify? Yes, I'm prepared to face whatever consequences come from my silence. But I won't let Ren fight alone. We listen to the tape together. My mother's voice younger and more frightened than the other recording, begging Vandermeer to do right, and his cold, calculated threats, every word damning. Gus immediately contacts Agent Manning. Within 2 hours, FBI has the recording, Dr. Ashford's sworn statement and warrant for Marcus Vandermeer's arrest. By evening, every news channel runs footage of Vandermeer being led from his office in handcuffs. Charges conspiracy to commit fraud, obstruction of justice evidence, tampering, illegal disposal of hazardous waste, and because of new evidence, suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder. Bail set at $10 million. He posts immediately. But damage is done. Vandermeer Pharmaceuticals stock crashes, losing 60% value in 6 hours. Board forces him to resign as CEO. 3 federal agencies open investigations. That night, town celebrates at Margot's diner. Someone brings champagne, someone else bakes cake, decorated justice for Rose and Iris. Whole community crams into small space, laughing and crying and holding on to hope that good can win. But I can't celebrate yet. Vandermeer is still free, still dangerous. And I know him well enough now, he won't go down without final fight. The attack comes on the 10th night after the story broke. Motion sensors trigger at 3 a.m. But this time there's no warning, no chance to call help. Windows explode inward, glass showering floor. Someone throws Molotov cocktail through gap. Fire blooms across living room. I'm awake instantly, choking on smoke, grabbing my mother's journal and box of letters. Only things that matter running for stairs. Beckett crashes through front door, shotgun raised, firing at shapes in darkness. Get out, back door now. I stumble through kitchen, flames spreading faster than possible. Accelerant. They soaked walls. Outside, Margot's truck screeches into driveway. She sees fire, screams my name. I make it to her, coughing, eyes streaming. Beckett's inside. He emerges seconds later, dragging unconscious man. One of the arsonists tackled before escape. Farmhouse burns behind us, 18 years of my grandmother's memories going up in flames. Fire trucks arrive too late. By dawn, structure is gutted, only stone chimney standing like gravestone. But we have the arsonist. Sheriff Miller has no choice but arrest. Under FBI interrogation, he breaks within hours, admits Vandermeer hired him to make problem disappear, names 2 other men, provides text messages, payment records, everything. Agent Manning arrests Vandermeer again that afternoon. This time for attempted murder, arson, witness intimidation. This time bail denied. I stand in ruins of my grandmother's house holding fireproof box that somehow survived. The 263 letters are safe. My mother's journal safe. Everything else ash. Margot wraps blanket around shoulders. You can't stay here. Come to my house, long as you need. Barn's still standing. Wren. This is my home. He already took my mother, my grandmother, 18 years of my life. I won't let him take this too. Beckett starts clearing debris, salvaging what can be saved. Harold Jensen arrives with truck full of supplies. By evening, dozen volunteers work to make barn habitable, insulation, wood stove partitions for privacy. Community builds me home from ashes. Over the next 6 months, everything changes. Trial date set. Marcus Vandermeer will face federal charges. Catherine Morrison secures hearing for Ivy's custody case. Rebecca's story wins journalism awards. More whistleblowers come forward. Vandermeer's entire corporate empire begins crumbling. On a cold October morning, I walk into family court. Judge reviews my financial documentation, home study letters from every person in Millbrook Springs vouching for my character. Then Ivy takes stand. She's 12 now, taller than I remember, but still my little bird. Judge asks, "Do you want to live with your sister?" Ivy's voice clear and certain. Yes. Wren promised she'd come back for me. She kept her promise. She always keeps promises. Judge grants custody effective immediately. I walk out of courthouse with my sister's hand in mine. For first time since I was 6 months old, we're family again. The trial lasts 3 weeks. Evidence overwhelming, recordings, documents, testimony from Dr. Ashford, arsonist's confession. Jury deliberates 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Sentencing comes 2 weeks later. 35 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole. As they lead him away, he looks at me one last time. No apology, no remorse, just cold calculation that finally failed. I feel nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction. Just relief he can't hurt anyone else. By the following spring, 13 months since I first arrived at Rose Hill, with $87 and a canvas bag, the farm transforms. Volunteers help renovate barn into 6 bedrooms, common area kitchen big enough to feed crowd. Farmhouse foundation cleared, plans drawn for rebuilding using insurance money and donations. Rose Hill officially opens as sanctuary for youth aging out of foster care. 3 teenagers move in first month, 2 girls, 1 boy, all with nowhere else to go. Ivy helps them settle, shows them rooms, tells them they're safe now. My sister kept her promise to me. She'll keep her promise to you too. This is home. I stand on porch, Beckett rebuilt, watching sunset over fields, producing crops again. Scars from fire still visible, but new growth pushing through. Margot joins me, brings coffee. Rose would be so proud, Iris too. I hope so. I know so. You did what they couldn't, you won. And more, you're giving other kids what you never had. Home. That evening I visit cemetery where my grandmother and mother are buried. Side by side under oak trees, stones simple and clean. I kneel between them, hands on cold granite. I did it. He's in prison, farm's safe, Ivy's home, and we're helping other kids like me find family. Wind moves through branches above, sounding almost like voices. I wish you were here to see it. Wish we'd had time together. But I understand now what you were teaching me. Love doesn't quit. It doesn't give up even when everything seems lost. You loved me 18 years without knowing if I'd ever come home. That kind of love doesn't die. It echoes forward, gives strength to everyone it touches. I trace carved letters of my grandmother's name. Thank you for not giving up on me. For the 263 letters, for building this place, for believing I'd be strong enough to finish what you started. I trace my mother's name. Thank you for fighting for truth, for choosing right over easy, for loving me enough to risk everything. When I return to Rose Hill, lights glow in barn windows, Ivy and other kids making dinner laughing at something on radio. Beckett fixing fence gate, Margot's truck pulling up with groceries. My family, not blood but chosen, built from ashes and determination and love that refused to die. I'm 19 years old. I own farm care for 4 kids, carry legacy of 2 women who loved me into existence. Some days I still feel like terrified girl on group home steps clutching $87 and broken promise, but most days I feel like their daughter, their granddaughter, their legacy. I open my mother's journal one final time, turn to entry I've memorized. Maybe Wren's generation will be braver than mine. We are Mom, I whisper, because you showed us how. I close the journal, place it on shelf next to 263 letters in their fireproof box. Then I go join my family for dinner. This is what my grandmother built, what my mother died protecting, what I'm carrying forward. Rose Hill Farm, where kids who thought nobody wanted them learn the truth they were worth fighting for all along. Love doesn't quit. Some fights are worth the risk. You come from a line of fighters. These truths live in every board. Beckett hammers every meal. Margot shares every kid who walks through our door believing they're worthless and leaves knowing they're priceless. My grandmother wrote 263 letters to a granddaughter she never met. I'm writing my own letter now, not in words but in action. To every kid who comes to Rose Hill, I'm saying you're home, you're safe, you're loved, and I will never ever give up on you, just like she never gave up on me.